Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here. Today we continue with the Ken Waller series, and in his interview with Ken Waller describes his steroid cycle. As can be expected, Ken Waller describes some interesting insight into the steroid experimentation that occurred in the golden years of bodybuilding, including growth hormone and the cutting program of Lou Ferrigno. And if you want to know what Ken Waller's cycle was, well, you will want to watch this video until the very end because that's when he reveals his cycle in full. Enjoy. Just back to now the steroid culture. You've mentioned, so we've talked about your vision, trying to remain symmetrical. I'm assuming that also, like you mentioned, that given the steroid culture in Gold's Gym and the availability of it, plus the fact that, as you mentioned, rightly so, they were legal back then. There was no problems. It was all very new back then. You also took steroids to develop your physique, but and you mentioned that already. But when did you start taking steroids? Was it in California or was it before when you were already playing football?
No, like I said, I did not know what a steroid was till I got to California.
Okay. Now, so you didn't take them during your football career. Did you take them under the supervision of any of the doctors from Gold's Gym? Like Ken Sprague and I talked about that a bit. There was a couple of doctors, Dr. Robert Kerr, Dr. Yakot, I think, and another one with a W. I forgot his name already. Walzak, that's it. Did you?
He was about. I thought Walzak. The only thing I ever did with Walzak I would go with Arnold to get cortisone. I don't know. I guess they were cortisone shots in the joints when something was hurting.
Okay.
But other than that, no. That's something else. I did not, like I said, I did not know anything about steroids basically, and I just took what I thought, and I thought, well, okay, just I'll take a little bit of this, and that's fine, but I'm not going to take too much of it.
Yeah. So
I know a guy who after me won a Mr. America, and he would take a whole bottle of Dianabol at one time.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. That would be most likely Pete Grimkowski, from what I've heard.
Okay, now Pete, he's I would say between the two of them, Frank Zane or Pete, Pete knew more about steroids probably than anybody that I know of.
Okay.
It's him, but he's not the one I was talking about.
Okay.
There's two other ones.
What?
I've seen a guy come to Gold's Gym weighing 145 pounds, and in 2 weeks weigh 195 pounds.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know who that is. Ken mentioned there was one guy as well, and now it seems that it wasn't Pete. Obviously, you're not willing to share the the name, but I guess there were some guys that went all out. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It really the steroid thing. It's just that I don't know that much. I don't know that much about steroids. I wonder about it, but I don't wonder enough to investigate and try to learn about it.
Fair enough.
That's it.
Did you keep it though to only Dianabol, or did you take testosterone, Deca, Primobolan, other substances, Winstrol, Anavar?
Only thing I know about Winstrol, somebody told me that's an all-base steroid and it stays in your system like for 30 days or so.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they said it really doesn't do anything. And I will tell you something else. Now, I had a friend that I sold a Corvette to that was a pharmacist.
Mm-hmm.
So when the big rage for growth hormone come out.
Hmm.
I said, okay, we'll try it. So me and a friend of mine, we put together $1,700 and we bought some growth hormone right from the pharmacy.
Wow.
Okay, now we took this stuff we tried it until it ran out. I don't know if it was 4 weeks or whatever it was. Make a long story short, I stayed exactly the same. He lost 7 pounds.
Yeah, back.
I'm going to tell you, okay, here's the reason we found out later. This is from not investigating. When you take growth hormone, from what I understand, you have to take a steroid with it. It makes it work.
Yeah, it's got to be compounded. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't know that.
Yeah, I heard a lot of stories like that too, that growth hormone, at least in its initial use by golden era bodybuilders, actually stripped your body weight off instead of actually making you grow. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so that's what, it's just the more I think about some of the stuff that I did, I wonder if I would have done it probably what you'd say the right way, nutrition and all this stuff. I wonder how much better I could have got. And I know I could have got a lot better because in the 1975, I think it was 76 Mr. Olympia. That's what it happened.
Yeah.
I was watching everything, and I decided to start earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And with about 4 weeks to go, I was really happy with the way I looked.
Mm.
So here I go on every Sunday, I would gain 10 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the last 4 weeks, I spent all week getting rid of that 10 pounds. Where if I would have kept with the diet,
oh no,
I would have been a lot more muscular.
Yeah.
And I probably could have beat Franco in the 76 Mr. Olympia. But as it was, I have no qualms with anybody that might have beat me in a show. And that's just it.
Yeah.
At that day, he was better.
Yeah.
I will say in the 74 Mr. Universe. See, in 73, I went to, I think it was in Geneva, where Louie and I went over to the Mr. Universe, and he was first and I was second. Well, when I saw him 6 weeks before, Louie was big and smooth at a Mr. International show.
Mm.
And when I saw him, I thought, wow, I got this made. So when I saw him at the 6 weeks later, I went, holy crap. He was cut to ribbons, and we were talking, and he had a gallon of water with him, and the more water he drank, the more he passed urine. And he says, you ought to try this. So I said, okay. So the more water I drank, the bloatier I got. So anyway, no problem, man. He definitely should have walked away with that contest. I placed second.
Yeah.
The second year over in I think it was Verona, Italy, or might have been even Florence. One of the two were over there. And Louie came in a little puffy, and I thought I was that might have been the best shape I thought I was ever in. And I thought, when I look at some pictures now, I think I should have won this show. But again, I wasn't as big as him, so.
Yeah.
That's one person I would never say anything bad about. I tell you, Louie is a great guy.
Mm. Now, so just still on the steroids, you've mentioned that you didn't really want to find out too much about it, but is that all you took though, Dianabol, or did you take other things, or you don't want to answer that, or?
The only other thing that I took, and I hated it because it came from Europe, and had a big, looked like a horse needle to it. It was, I guess it's called Primobolan.
Primobolan,
two things
okay.
that I took.
Okay.
Yeah, Primobolan and the Dynabol. That was the only
Okay.
two things that I ever thought. Hell, I didn't even know what this other stuff was.
And that was, as you mentioned, just before shows that you would do?
Yeah, I take it only before shows.
Right.
Maybe 6 weeks before a show. And
Yeah.
then as soon as it was after, because I'll be honest with you, as soon as the shows are over, every weekend all I look for is Friday and Saturday nights.
I bet.
I mean, I used to have on Marina Del Rey, I had a 32-foot Chris Craft that was sitting right down in front of a nightclub called Donkin's Inn. And that's what I used to like to do, just go over to Donkin's Inn and party every weekend.
Sounds like like you enjoyed your life back then. That's pretty awesome.
Well, they had 2 private clubs too back then. One of them was called Tiffany's. Tiffany's was a private club that stayed open till like 6 in the morning.
Wow. Okay, so what about off season? You never took just testosterone or anything just to maintain mass, or did you just completely go off performance enhancing drugs?
I ate so much I didn't need anything to make mass.
So as we have heard from Ken Waller, he finally reveals his steroid cycle as being that of Dianabol, presumably 15 mg a day, and a shot of Primobolan, which he used to get from Europe, presumably from the same supplier as Arnold Schwarzenegger. He would cycle these drugs 6 weeks prior to a competition and then get off them. This of course was a common protocol back in the golden era of bodybuilding. Of course, steroids were legal back during that time, and therefore smaller doses were needed, as these were pharmaceutical grade and quite potent. Ken describes that he only started taking steroids on his arrival to California, and that he did not know much about them, and that he did not take steroids during his earlier football career. His doctors included those that I have already mentioned before, that is, the Gold's Gym steroid doctors, as I like to call them, Dr. Kerr, Dr. Yakot, and Dr. Walzak. However, Ken Waller revealed that he would go with Arnold to Dr. Walzak only to get cortisone shots when they were injured. Ken also described some bizarre experimentation of steroids by several bodybuilders, describing how one would take, for example, a full bottle of Dianabol, and I figured it was Pete Gronkowski, who Ken believes knew the most about steroids, and more than anyone else at Gold's Gym. However, Ken describes one smaller guy who would take so much steroids that he would go from weighing 145 pounds to 195 pounds in 2 weeks. And I found out later that this person was Ed Giuliani, who recently passed away. Ken also describes using growth hormone in the late 1970s when it first came out from human cadavers, and he was administered growth hormone by a pharmacist. And although he saw no effect, his friend lost 7 pounds, and it is no surprise, as we know nowadays, that growth hormone has a cutting effect by stimulating fat loss if it is not combined with another anabolic. At the end of this interview, Ken also described the effects of Lou Ferrigno's cutting procedure after losing the 1973 Mr. Universe to Lou, which allowed Lou to get shredded in 6 weeks. I am not exactly sure what the procedure was because I never got to ask Ken. I never got the opportunity to ask Ken. However, it was funny to hear that Lou pranked Ken, recommending Ken drink more water to get cut, which ended up making Waller more bulky in competition. Such were the practical jokes that bodybuilders would actually do on each other. It's hilarious stuff. So that was Ken Waller on his steroid cycle, and if you have enjoyed the video, please give the video a like, subscribe, and leave me your comments. In the next video, I will be going back to the subject of pre-bolics and the importance of organ meats in a bodybuilder's diet, so stay tuned. That's it from me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now. Head to www.goldenerabookworm.com for the biggest range of classic old-school bodybuilding books as ebooks, e-magazines such as Iron Man and Reg Park Journal, high-quality bodybuilding posters of the Golden Era stars, merchandise and classic gymwear featuring Steve Reeves, Marvin Eder, John Grimmick, Reg Park, and many other Golden Era stars. For those wishing to build a classic physique, lose fat and build muscle, online training is also available. Collectibles such as rare autographed photos from the Golden Era stars are also available, and to collaborate, please get in touch.